Welcome to Training at the Beach, Accessibility 101. In this video series, you'll receive an overview on how to create accessible documents in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and Adobe Acrobat 11 Pro. Each section will address certain aspects of accessibility. We'll answer the following questions. What is accessibility? What is our role in making documents accessible? Why is it important? And who does it benefit? Did you know? 1.2 billion people worldwide have a disability. 49.7 million people in the United States, age 5 and over, are disabled. 7 to 10 million Americans are colorblind, which means that almost 10 million of us cannot tell the difference between red and green or blue and yellow, or simply see the world in shades of gray, among other variations. The deaf and hard of hearing community together equals half of the disabled population in the United States. Approximately 1,100 of CSULB students have a disability requiring alternative media or other accommodations. About 1 in 5 CSULB staff or faculty members has some type of disability. What is accessibility? Accessibility is making information technology resources and services available in a usable format with reasonable accommodations to all students, employees, guests, and the general public, regardless of disability. This means making documents not only available, but usable to everyone no matter what his or her disability. A usable document is one that has been formatted for assistive technology. Assistive technology is software or a device that helps a disabled person access the information in a document. And the assistive technology that a visually impaired user is likely to use is a screen reader. A screen reader reads aloud the words on a computer monitor so that a user can listen to the information rather than read it. What is universal design? Universal design refers to a broad spectrum of ideas meant to produce buildings, products, and environments that are inherently accessible to people with or without disabilities. Let's go over some basic terminology that you'll hear throughout this video series. You'll hear the terms accessible, universal design, ATI compliant, and 508 compliant. Why is accessibility important? First and foremost, accessibility is about inclusion. CSULB is dedicated to an accessible, inclusive practice in all aspects of its services. Additionally, accessibility is important because it's the law. In 1973, Congress passed the Rehabilitation Act. It was a civil rights law that gave certain basic rights to people with disabilities who either worked in or associated with any federal organization. In 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, passed. This too was a civil rights law, much like the Rehabilitation Act, but much wider ranging. You may recall that in 1990, it seemed as if overnight, on every public corner across the United States, there was a little ramp cut into it. This ramp is called the curb cut, and it was a direct result of the ADA. Think back to 1994. The internet was upon us and became very important very fast. We used it to entertain, to bank, to educate, and we used it in the workplace to conduct business. The World Wide Web needed rules and guidelines, and a group of people from all over the world came together to provide them. This group was born in 1994 and is known as W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium. As the electronic age continued to grow and affect the way we conduct business, the 508 Amendment passed in 1998. This was an amendment to the original Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and guaranteed certain basic civil rights to people working for or associated with any government organization, but this time it pertains specifically to technology resources and services. After the passing of Amendment 508, the first question was, how can we meet those requirements? The W3C came together and developed a set of guidelines to meet those requirements called WCAG 1.0 in 1999, and then 2.0, the later version in 2008. In January 2005, our Chancellor's Office issued Executive Order 925, officially announcing our goal to meet 508 requirements within a certain time frame using WCAG 1.0/2.0 as a reference. In response to Executive Order 925, the ATI, Accessible Technology Initiative, assembled system-wide, and as a direct result of the group's efforts to put EO 925 into action, this training has been developed and made available to you. Today, since we're talking about documents which we read with our eyes, the type of disabilities we are referring to most often are visual impairments, for example, low vision or blind, although there are many other disabilities that may affect how we author electronic content. How you format the document you create is absolutely critical to the experience that a visually impaired person will have accessing that information. Think about how you would read the front page of this newspaper. You might read the title, scan the pictures, and then the main headlines. When you find something that piques your interest, you go straight for it. By default, a screen reader will begin to read a page from the first character to the very last. Imagine for a second that a blind user wanted to read the information in the caption below the picture of the Chancellor. He or she will have to listen to the entire front page in order to get the content they wanted. Who benefits from accessibility? The answer is virtually everyone. Remember the curb cut we talked about a few minutes ago? This benefit, which came out of the ADA of 1990, has become the symbol of universal benefit of accessibility. The curb cut was designed for someone very specific in mind, a person in a wheelchair. What we quickly realized was that many people benefited from the curb cut. Consider a parent with a stroller, a small child on a bike, a delivery man with a dolly stacked high with boxes, or a person walking with crutches or a cane. Accessible electronic documents are very similar. They will be openly received by people with disabilities as well as numerous other groups. Consider those using handheld devices, dial-up modems, those who speak English as a second language, or people with cognitive disorders. Which documents need to be accessible? Documents should be accessible if they are published to the internet or emailed to students, employees, guests, or to the general public. Currently, only Word, PowerPoint, and PDF files are being addressed. However, the ideas offered in this training can be applied to numerous software applications, as you will see.